Have you ever been busy from morning to night, but your bank account still keeps getting thinner? You work more, but you feel less free. And then you comfort yourself. Whatever, as long as there is money for rent, money for gas, money for food. The problem is, you are not just earning money, you are selling hour by hour of your life, your most awake, healthiest hours, to trade for a number on a paycheck. So today's question is blunt. How much money is 1 hour of your life actually worth? Not the number on your contract, not your annual salary, the real number, after subtracting everything you have to pay just to be able to go to work. When you know this number, a lot of decisions about shopping, changing jobs, picking up extra shifts, or chasing promotions suddenly get so clear it almost feels unreal. A lot of people think they make $25 an hour because they take their income and divide it by 40 work hours. But that is the optimistic, childlike way to calculate it. Adults have to count the price that comes with the job: commute time, gas and car maintenance, parking, the clothes you have to wear to fit the workplace, the rushed food you buy because you have no energy left to cook, the time you sit there numb after work just to recover, and the mindless spending you do just to reward yourself for surviving another week. You want real life, so do a simple calculation that anyone can do in one evening. All you need is paper and a pen, or a spreadsheet on your phone. First, take your net weekly income. Net income means the money that actually hits your account after federal taxes, state taxes, and payroll deductions. If you are an employee, you can see it on your pay stub. If you are self-employed and you get tax forms for freelance or contract work, take your total income and estimate how much you need to set aside for taxes, depending on your state and the time of year. Do not try to be perfectly precise. Just be accurate enough that you are not lying to yourself. Now take the total number of hours you truly give to work each week. Not just the hours you sit at your workplace, the full number of hours that work takes away from your life. There is a guy named David in Texas who works an office job. On paper, David works 40 hours a week. His net income that hits his account is about $1,000 a week. Sounds fine. $25 an hour, right? But David starts tracking it. Every day, David spends a total of 1.5 hours commuting because of traffic. That is 7.5 hours a week. Every day, David spends 45 minutes getting ready because the company expects him to look polished. That is a little over 5 hours a week. Lunch is not really free time either, because David stays close to the office and his mind is still stuck on work. Add 5 more hours. Every night, David needs at least 1 hour to collapse into a chair, scroll on his phone, and watch something just to forget how tired he is. That is 5 hours a week. And that is not even counting the time he keeps thinking about work, stressing about tomorrow's meeting, worrying about email, worrying about targets. David adds 2 more hours for that ongoing stress. So what happens? 40 hours on paper turns into almost 65 hours in real life. Next comes the money. David is not only paying with time, David is paying with dollars. Every week, David spends about $120 on gas, parking, and wear and tear on his car. Add $80 for lunch and coffee because mornings are rushed and afternoons are rushed. Add $25 for work clothes and laundry. Add $30 for random little purchases, like grabbing something at a convenience store because his brain is out of battery. And the most interesting part is what David calls his reward. On the weekend, he spends about $60 more on entertainment, just because he feels like he deserves it after an exhausting week. There is no right or wrong here. It is just being honest. David's total work-related costs are about $315 a week. Now do the math with zero emotion. Net income is $1,000. Subtract $315 in costs required to keep the job going. You are left with $685. That $685 is exchanged for about 65 hours of life locked to work. So 1 hour of David's life is paying about $10 and some change. That number might feel a little shocking, but this is the number you need if you want to live awake. Because from here, prices start showing their true face. A $7 coffee is not $7 anymore. It is 40-something minutes of your life. A $200 pair of headphones is not $200 anymore. It is 20 hours. That is basically 3 of your evenings. A $600 weekend trip might be close to 60 hours. That is nearly a whole work week compressed into one bill. And the moment you see this truth, you stop saying, "I do not have money." You start saying the more important thing. I do not have enough hours of my life to pay for that. This is why a lot of people in the United States earn what looks like a high salary but still feel poor. It is not because they are lazy. It is because they are selling their life hours too cheaply because the costs tied to the job are too high, and because they spend too much to patch up their emotions. You can change this, but before you change it, you have to see it clearly. You cannot manage what you do not measure. If these numbers hit your life a little too accurately, subscribe to the Wealth Wisdom Notes channel right now. This channel focuses on one thing, helping you use money smarter so you can buy back your time and your peace. If you subscribe, you will not miss videos like this, short, practical, and usable immediately. Now back to the calculation. David just finished it, and the next thing he did was not quitting his job. He did something small but powerful, like a lever. David asked, out of these costs, which ones are necessary, which ones are habits, and which ones are emotional? Commuting costs are necessary if David keeps driving alone, but David tried two options. One was carpooling with a coworker who lived nearby. The other was using public transportation a few days a week. Each option is inconvenient, but if he cuts $50 a week, that is not just $50. That is 5 hours of life bought back every week at David's real exchange rate. Lunch is the same. David does not need to become a master chef. David just needs 2 simple meal containers for 2 days. Cook a little extra at dinner. In the morning, put it in a container. That cuts $40 a week without making life miserable. And more importantly, David stops feeling like he is getting pickpocketed every lunchtime. Now the reward spending. David did not cut it completely. He changed the way he rewarded himself. Instead of rewarding himself with shopping, David rewarded himself by catching up on sleep, taking walks, and meeting a close friend one evening. It cost less, but it recharged him more deeply. And when he no longer needed to spend money just to tolerate his job, David basically gave himself a raise without asking anyone for it. Do you see it? Just by seeing the real exchange rate of 1 hour of your life, you can find a few leaks and seal them. Every leak you seal is another time you raise the value of your life hours. But there is an even more important part. If you only cut costs, you only raise it a little. If you change the way you sell your life hours, you raise it a lot. And that is when you start using this number to make decisions about work, about increasing income, and about your long-term direction. David started using the number like a measuring stick. And this is the difference between someone who only complains about being tired and someone who truly changes their life. You do not need to do more. You need to sell at the right price. An offer for overtime can sound really tempting. A weekend side job can sound tempting too. But if you do not run the numbers, you can fall into the classic trap. You trade away your best hours for money that, after you subtract everything, is barely anything. Use the same method David used, but apply it to every decision. Ask just one question. If I take this extra work, does the value of 1 hour of my life go up, or does it go down? Sarah works at a retail store in Florida. Her manager offers her 2 extra evening shifts, 5 hours each, and promises a higher rate than her usual pay. Sarah almost said yes immediately because she thought a few hundred extra dollars would fix her credit card bill. But Sarah stopped and calculated. Those 2 evening shifts meant Sarah would need extra childcare. That is extra cost. Sarah would have to buy dinner because she would get home late. That is extra cost. Sarah would be driving home late, more exhausted, and the next day she would lose almost half her morning just trying to recover. That is extra time taken away. When Sarah added it all up, the real money she would keep after taxes and costs was only a small piece of what she imagined. And the worst part was when Sarah realized those 2 evenings were the exact 2 evenings her child wanted the most. Mom at home. Dinner together, a bedtime story. Sarah could still pay down debt, but Sarah chose a different path. She called the credit card company and asked to adjust her repayment plan to the minimum for a few months. She cut a few automatic subscriptions she barely used. She sold a few items she had bought on impulse, and Sarah kept her 2 evenings. The lesson is not that you should never work extra. The lesson is that you have to know what you are selling, who you are selling it to, and what price you are getting. If you have ever taken on extra work without calculating and then wondered why you felt more drained the more you worked, hit like on this video for me. That one small click helps practical, real-world content like this reach people who actually need it. Now here is something you can apply directly to your main job. A lot of people fight for a raise, but they ignore something that can increase the value of their life hours much faster. Reduce the time and costs that come with the job. Ryan works in California. Ryan is offered a small raise if he takes on more responsibility. But that responsibility means staying at the office later, plus a few extra pointless meetings. Ryan calculates it, and the value of his life hours does not go up. It actually goes down because his recovery time gets eaten. So Ryan changes strategy. Ryan does not ask for a raise first. Ryan asks for 2 work-from-home days each week. When he does not have to commute on those 2 days, Ryan saves money on gas, saves money on lunch, and most importantly, Ryan buys back about 3 hours per week. Ryan uses those 3 hours to learn a skill that can increase his future income. That is leverage. You can do the same thing. Before you ask for a raise, ask for something that makes you lose fewer hours to earn the same money. Flexible hours, partial remote work, switching shifts to avoid traffic, compressed workdays to reduce how many times you commute. Every change like that is like giving yourself a raise without needing anyone to sign a piece of paper. Next, use your number to set a minimum rate for anything outside your main job. Someone messages you asking for a small favor. Someone invites you into a project that sounds promising. An opportunity that seems interesting. You do not have to say yes or no right away. You just ask, does this pay my minimum rate? If not, either negotiate or decline, or turn it into a chance to learn something you truly need. Do not let small tasks slowly grind your life away. Now let's talk about money. When you know the exchange rate of 1 hour of your life, you will look at bills in a totally different way. A subscription that costs $19.99 a month feels small. But if you have 3 or 4 of them, it becomes 1 full workday every month. And here is the real issue. A lot of subscriptions are not even used. People just forget to cancel them. That is not you being undisciplined. That is you not seeing it in life hours. Tonight, do one simple thing. Open the list of automatic charges coming out of your checking account. Ask yourself 3 questions. Does this actually make my life better? If I had to trade a few more life hours for it, would I still choose it? If I did not buy it, what would I use that time and money for instead? You will be surprised. Just answering honestly can free up money you used to think was impossible to find. And when you cut a few recurring expenses, the value of your life hours automatically rises because you need less money to live. Now the long-term part. The goal is not saving so you can suffer. The goal is buying back freedom. Freedom means you have an emergency fund big enough that you do not panic when your car breaks, when a medical bill shows up, when something changes at work. Freedom means you can contribute consistently to a workplace retirement account if your job offers one. If it does not, you learn about an individual retirement account, either a Roth option or a traditional option, depending on your tax situation. And if you have a high-deductible insurance plan that fits your situation, you consider a health savings account so you can reduce the burden when you actually need care. I am not telling you to do everything at once. I just want you to understand one thing. Every dollar you save and invest wisely is not just a dollar. It is future hours you will not have to sell. It is mornings you wake up without fear of bills controlling you. It is optionality. And when you face a big decision like buying a new car, moving, signing a lease, or taking out a mortgage, do not just look at the monthly payment, convert it into life hours. Then ask yourself, with those hours, what am I buying? A stable, warm home for my family? Or just a shell that makes other people nod in approval? At this point, you have the most powerful weapon in personal finance. Not a hack, not luck. The ability to see through prices and see time. Do this calculation once, and you will use it for the rest of your life. You will buy fewer things that are not worth it. You will take on fewer commitments that drain you. You will focus more on the things that make you stronger. And as the months go by, something strange happens. You stop chasing money. Money starts chasing you. Because you finally learned how to price yourself.